Okay, I just fucked it all up and I'm sorry. I got distracted. And so now I had to restart this video. It's just gonna be a second video to the one that I was already making. If you start from this one, welcome. If you are watching this as a second video, great, because I was in the middle of something. I just let myself get completely distracted. Again, any energy trying to come in and fuck up my shit and take me out of my own element, back off. You're not welcome here. Please leave. Come back never. Any energy that's like even innocently trying to invade my space, now is not the time. Okay, that's what that was. Even if you're innocently trying to invade my space right now, it's not the time. Okay. So yeah, the lizard Ouroboros, that's so interesting. I have yet to really pull much of a reading out of that, I guess outside of the fact that, like, you're right, it's a cycle. A necessary cycle. And, you know, like I said, there's the lizard here at the bottom representing that, like, it's not fully entrapped. He's free to be. The King of Wands in reverse, like, right. It's your highest power, energetically, being interfered with, feeling some type of way. The Eight of Wands in reverse is interesting to me, because the Eight of Wands, like, and the way that it's here in the upright, is definitive of, you know, all of your energy having a specific destination and headed in that direction, and all of them moving on their own path, but in the same direction. Everything's kind of in alignment. It's all moving up to something good, right? It's moving into a direct destination. It's getting where it's going. In the reverse, it's funny because in the reverse, like, all of these feel, I don't feel negative right now. All of these coming out the way that they did, they fell out as I was shuffling the deck and said that the tarot in of itself and being able to do these types of tarot readings is something that resonates with me. And then they all just flung out. They all flung out in the reverse, and they all flung out face up. So when it flings out face up, it's like in your face, right? Like, it's being pretty direct. In the reverse always feels so daunting to me. You know, but that's part of the alchemy of it. And for some reason, the Eight of Wands is a hard one for me. Every time I get that in a reading, it really, like, forces me into a deep reflection, and a reconsideration of things. You know, and that's so funny because, like, as I'm, like, thinking about it, like, after you've already thrown all of the wands, in order for them, like, I see them as, like, spears, right? Like, being thrown. They're all being thrown, and they're all headed in the same direction. They're all headed at the target. Like, that's really not the time to reconsider. It would be time to reconsider prior to throwing them so that you can make sure that everything's, like, where it's supposed to be going. After you've already thrown the thing isn't really the time to reconsider. And I do have a hard time with that. I do tend to learn and see things in retrospect because my whole ass is backwards. You know, and, like, I'm trying to become, like, a more balanced person, and, like, so many people see me, like, I go to therapy and they're like, oh, you're so self-reflective and self-aware, and you seem like such a balanced person. And I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, I'm not trying to like fool people here. I'm trying to be as genuine as possible, and these are part of my practices, but like none of this is definitively balanced. That's not what balance like truly looks like. And it's so strange to me because it seems like so many people, like, man, if they were living my life, like, they would have stopped a long time ago, because they would have believed themselves to be balanced. They would have believed themselves to be stable and secure, like back when I was settling. But at the same time, like, the Eight of Wands in reverse is reflective of my capacity to still settle. The King of Wands in reverse is my capacity to still become anxious. The Three of Wands in reverse is like self-doubt. Like, you know, it's an interesting card in the upright because he's holding on to one of the wands and then standing between two that are freestanding. And the freestanding wands are always so interesting to me. I guess these ones do a good job of like making them appear to be grounded, which is great. Great for me in this reading. But sometimes they're just freestanding and it's like almost kind of bizarre and leaves like an eerie feeling, like it's magic, like, but not necessarily a sensible one. And, you know, I like sensibility. I like to function off of sensibility. So in the reverse, you know, he's like pondering, you know, and he's standing and he's holding on to this wand, like, it's not that he needs the stability, but he's like using it for grounding, like just a reminder of where he is, because he's like looking off into the nothingness. It actually looks, even though it's yellow, I mean the sky is yellow too, so it actually looks like he's looking off into the sea. There's a few boats in the sea, a little bit of a wind. He's kind of just like in a pondering state. In the reverse, it reflects to me as self-doubt, where like I'm not just like staring off into the sunset thinking blissfully about nothing. I'm like pondering the abyss, you know, which can get a bit daunting. And ultimately, anytime, like, the wands in reverse, like, to me are reflective of not fully being in my power, where in the upright, there's a sense of me being in my power and, like, a reminder of, like, a validation that I'm in my power in certain ways, energetically. So for me to say that the tarot resonates with me and for these things to come out, like at first it almost seemed like, right now it just seems like just a reminder of keeping my wits about me, and like this deeper work that I'm doing is reflective of these different internal struggles that I have and why I use these things, and why this resonates with me is because of how it can show these things. But at first, when it first came out, it almost like startled me and seemed like, are you sure about that? Like kind of like they got like slapped out of my hand, and it was almost like, like to make me question myself, sort of deal. Like, are you sure that this is what you should be doing? Sort of deal. Like, I felt like it was, and as I've continued to do it, like, I do feel that way. The doubt is only coming from the fact that you asked. I didn't have any doubt before that. Okay, right. I basically just told somebody almost the same sort of thing. because they were trying to build a connection with me and had expressed that they were looking at me romantically. And I let them know that that wasn't where my head was at all, and with anything right now, with anyone right now, and that I really needed them to take a step back and focus on themselves, because the energy transference between us when we started talking about connection that way became incredibly draining, and I really needed to protect myself and my interests, and right now is a time of rest and rejuvenation for me, so like I'm not trying to do that work for them. And they were upset about it and had said that they, didn't know. I told them to, to dig deep, because some of the energy that was passing between us wasn't coming from me, and it was extremely heavy. And they were like, well, I just don't know what else I could possibly have to process. Like, what a crazy concept, because like there's always more to be processed. But I guess like that's part of what is being said too, like my hotness. Like I say that this resonates with me, and like it does. It makes me question, like, the fact that it came out that way makes me question, like, what is it, like, bad for me? Is it, like, because that's what I was always taught, right? Don't dabble in the tarot because it's witchcraft, it's satanic. And I don't believe in witchcraft like that. Like, I practice things that are considered witchcraft, not because they're witchcraft, but because they resonate deeply with me, and I believe them to be a form of my natural magic. Like, I believe the whole universe is just magic. I don't think any of it really truly makes sense. And like, I think that there's certain spiritual practices and like physical things that I can do that help to make sense of the things that don't make sense in that way. And like, I don't think any of it really truly makes sense. And I think it's all just like whatever resonates with you. And like, I've always been very drawn to naturalism and, to like shamanism and like paganism and different types of like hippie beliefs sets and lifestyles, and like plants and animals and nature. Like, it just makes sense to me, and I don't see those things as innately evil. I also like geometry. Like, I don't think that, sacred geometry is literally like everything. Like, I don't think that there's something innately evil about that. I think that demonizing things is innately evil, if anything. So that's a weird one. It almost makes me feel like I need to say again, any energies that are trying to fuck with me, that are trying to come in here and like take me out of my element, or like dissuade me or confuse me or try to make me like not feel how I do already feel and have worked very hard to feel. And like, anybody who's trying to take me out of my space, anybody that's not trying to do their work and is trying to do my work, like, get the fuck out. I didn't welcome you here. You're not welcome here. I don't need you, nor do I want you in my space. Please leave and don't come back. I return all of that negativity, all of that self-doubt, all of that weird confusion for no reason back to you. You do with it what you want. You're the one conjuring it. You want to work with that energy? Go ahead, but I'm not receiving it. Weird. Anyways, so what else do we have? What do we have? Can we have something a little more positive, please? Because that was great. And it's whatever. Give me whatever is necessary. Whatever is necessary. There's some sort of message that I am to draw out of these right now. That's why I was called to it. Sometimes it just is, because I've been sitting in meditation and prayer, and suddenly these messages come and I get on a video and I start self-therapizing and it just comes out that way. Sometimes it's because I was triggered by a certain thing, or because there's a certain emotional process I'm trying to undergo. Sometimes it's, because of certain things that are happening in my life, and then I just want to process them like on the video. Right now, it was drawn to me about the tarot. So, yeah, there's message here. There's messages. Those were messages, and that was great. Now, this is already the second video, because I fucked up the first one, but that was necessary, apparently. So, what other messages? What other messages do I have? Okay. Give me a couple more. Sorry, I fucked it up. Can I have a couple more cards? A couple more cards. I'm gonna look at it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. 3 cards came out face down. This card came out face up and sideways, and it is the 6 of Wands. Okay. Sideways. All right, so this one's getting a little mathematical. Okay, so the 6 of Wands, this is what the card looks like. And I got it sideways, but it was actually sideways like this. So his feet are over here. He's holding the wands. The wands are upright. He's holding one wand, and it has a wreath on it. The other ones are being held by men that aren't on a horse, that are walking alongside of him. All of them are upright, but his wreath has his wand has a wreath on it that I'm pretty sure has the inscription that Christ's cross had on it. You can't fully read it, but it definitely has a little inscription on it, and that's what it resonates with me as, is the inscription that Christ had on the cross. And his wreath has a red ribbon that is blowing in the wind. The horse is turned towards the card. He is turned away. He also has a wreath on his head. And it does have a very, like, victorious feel to it. I mean, the 6 of Wands, anyways, is kind of a sign of that. The 6 is like, it's light and darkness. It's completed cycles. It's kind of, it's like the start of something new, the beginning of something new. Or it's both a beginning and an end. You know, so him coming in, you know, he's bringing in change. He's bringing in victory. He's bringing in it's victory is how it's resonating with me. His wreath. The wreath is also an Ouroboros, isn't it? It's got a red ribbon on it, which means a lot to me because I carry ribbons around. And I always have since I was a kid. They're like a little security blanket for me, a little stress reliever. The red ribbon is, you know, love, power, romance, cardinality. I don't know what that word would be, like royalty, dominance, passion, purification, victory, family, or communion. It's all very pleasant, and it seems very pleasant. So this was the first card that came out. This was the second. I'm going to start with what's at his feet, which is the 9 of Cups. Okay, so I've got the 9 of Cups, and I don't know if you can see this guy's face, but he looks smug as hell. He's sitting there He's sitting there like this. He's got this like silly look on his face. Is it raining? It just got really dark and started raining. It's very pretty. Sorry for that unflattering angle. So he's got all of his cups behind him. There's nothing in them. So they're almost more like trophies. They're sitting up above him, and he's sitting there very, very prideful. He's got his 9 of cups. And I think that's, I'm making fun of it, but like, and only because of his face. He looks a little too haughty, looks a little prideful about it. But all in all, I mean, he has something to be proud of. He has all of his trophies. And he seems satisfied with them, you know. Seems satisfied. It's not the 10 of cups, so it isn't everything that you could ever want, but it is definitely a reflection of a job well done. And, you know, being at the base of victory, the sense of being fulfilled is a great thing. Next to that, I have the Ace of Wands in reverse. The Ace of Wands in reverse. And what was interesting to me about this one is that often the background is just one color, but this background actually has several colors. It has blue, yellow, green, and this purple color. And at first glance, without really looking at it almost, and because of, I suppose, the reflection of the card itself, it looked like a rainbow. Normally the backgrounds don't mean too much to me. They aren't terribly significant, but the rainbow was, especially for the Ace of Wands, because it just resonated as very friendly. Yes, it's in reverse. But I would say that that would then, like, this is the humility. This is the humility that seems to be lacking in this card. And this is now the base. The humility is now the base for the 9 of Cups. So at this point, I would say that his smugness is justified, mostly because it's tapered with the others. And I would say that it's like this. Okay, so we've got humility. I see the Ace of Wands in the reverse as humility. Don't know if I would normally read it that way, but that's how this one is resonating with me right now in this read. Humility being the base as to why he was able to find his success in the way that he's found it is why he's smug, you know, because he's found his success and he knows that he earned it. And that smugness goes away by the time that there's the 6 of Wands, because the 6 of Wands, he has his face turned away. He has his head held high. The wand is upright. But he's standing proud. He's not arrogant, you know, in any sort of fashion. And so I would say that there's that balance. And here he's by himself. He's sitting by himself thinking about the job that he's done, maybe feeling a little bit cocky about it. But by the time that it's time for him to move into the actual celebration of the job done and of the victory that's at hand, it's a graceful pride that's there. It seems to be a good thing. And I want to say that, so his wand, in the 6 of Wands, his wand specifically that he's holding, the prince, I will call him, that he's holding is now, because this card came sideways, is pointing towards the final card. The final card being the 6 of Swords in reverse. So the 6 of Swords in the upright is a man on a boat with what looks to be a woman and a child, with all of the swords. And they're bringing all of the swords. And they all have their heads down and turned, and it's resonant of future struggle, current and future struggle, poverty, just like maybe a cycle of struggle. In the reverse, however, it's resonating so interestingly to me because it's not really resonating much by itself, but with the Six of Wands pointing to it, and like I said, it's like pointing right to it and it's directing it. Like what I noticed is that like both of these men now are holding their staffs, right? The Six of Wands has held in some sort of victory stance, and it has the wreath on it, and it's very like celebratory. Where this one is like resonant of hard work, consistency, loyalty to family, care for others. In the reverse. So it's one of those things where like, it's taken me an extremely long time, about 34 years, to come to the point where I could not feel guilty about not putting myself out for others. I'm a generous person. I care very, very deeply about people. I am always very open to giving loving care to people. But I have learned how to set pretty strong boundaries and standards as to what I will and won't put up with. And it's taken, like I said, a very long time to be able to set those standards and then to stay in them, to stay in those things that I've set and be like, no, this is how I feel. And so this is what, you've given me what I have to deal with. I'm giving you now what you have to deal with. Like, it's that, and to not feel guilty about that and to not carry that with me and to be able to just like be in a place of rest and rejuvenation despite those things. Like, yeah, it's taken a long time and a lot of cultivation. But I would say that, yeah, that this is what this is reflective of, is that like there is no shame. If this were in the upright, there's a sense of shame in the struggle, and that we're having to like work through this, and I'm helping others, and I'm working so hard just to keep others afloat. But that isn't what I'm feeling from this. What I'm feeling from this is almost a validation that the victory has been had, pointing at that I don't need to carry those things. I don't need to carry those things. I don't need to bear that weight the same sort of way any longer. And what a release. It's not terribly surprising, actually, that it started raining. Like, pouring. Like, the sky got so crazy. I kind of want to show you as I was doing this reading, because it's kind of beautiful. Can I turn it like this? No. Okay, I think I just took a picture of myself. I'm at the hotel, so I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you can really see, but it's pouring, but it's so nice. So nice. It's just like, and it doesn't rain here terribly often. When it rains, it pours. That certainly is how it works here. And maybe that's part of what my purpose is here, is because like that's been the state for my entire life, and I have learned these skills in order to learn how to deal with that and how to even enjoy that and dance my way through that. And a lot of people here haven't learned that. They've always just been beaten down by it, and they're kind of in defense mode about it. And like I've learned how to, like, I think that was even part of the importance of like the interference of energy and being able to command myself a certain way. is just to remind people that like it doesn't have to be some big thing. You don't got to feel really bad about setting boundaries. Like, you're valid. You deserve to set boundaries and to protect yourself, and like say what you need to say and then keep doing your thing. It doesn't need to be a big thing. It doesn't need to be a big ordeal. I think the Six of Swords, I've only used this deck several times, and I think that this would have really resonated much differently had it had been in the upright. And I'm so thankful that it's in the reverse. Just like I'm thankful that it's pouring rain. I'm thankful for all of the lessons that have taught me how to be able to be okay despite everything, you know. My empathy used to have me very easily manipulated, and I'm just no longer in that energy, and I am so thankful for that. And I thank you, guides and ancestors, for staying on my shoulder and, you know, guiding me through all of the things that I've been through in order to teach me those lessons, because I couldn't have done it without source energy, for sure. Like, trying to do any of this on my own would have led me in a much different direction. Just thankful. I'm very thankful. That little downpour was quite a blessing. It really felt clearing. And yeah, I'm thankful that I did these little videos. Again, this is the second video. There was one that I was doing beforehand that I had accidentally stopped. So this whole video, this reading in particular, very thankful for. And hopefully it's been good for you, and hopefully you've learned something. And